Switches and the GL4 Pro, can you use them together? Yes, and here is exactly how. The GL4 Pro uses XVL2 tape switches from Surefire. All of the tape switches that are sold on defense distributors are authentic Surefire tape switches. We source directly from them, and they've been pretty hard to get as of late, but we're doing our best to get them out to you guys, so links to that will be in the description. These tape switches both use a very odd connector type that I'm sure most of you have not seen before. It's not the Crane, it's not the Engel, it's not the Surefire type, it's this weird flat type. I guess it is a Surefire type, but this is going to interface with your laser right underneath the mounting hardware. So how you connect this, it's very simple, is inside of your package when you order the GL4 Pro, there's going to be an Allen key included, and these two screws on the back right here, those unscrew. Once you do that, this tab will come off and you will have an exposed connector port, which then you will connect this tape switch to. Now you may see this isn't going to connect very well. The actual tape switches include a mounting bar with them, so it's going to be a lot easier to attach that. And once you have that, you screw in this tape switch and you are good to go. The two tape switches that work for the XVL2, there's two different styles Surefire sells. They're a very confusing naming system. They've got R's and S's in a random order, but this is, I think, the SR or the RS07, and this is the RSR-SR07. And I don't know which is which order, but in the description it will be very clear when you go to those links. So the simpler one here is the cheaper one, and it is just a tape switch button. That is it. There's one button, and it is your typical tape switch format. It does not come with a mount. This, the SR07, does come with an integrated mounting solution, and it has the tape switch and a button up here, which acts more like the Unity hot button. So both of these will work with the GL4 Pro. This one is simpler, cheaper, and does require a mount, where this one comes with a mount and has an extra button, but it is more expensive. It really just depends what you want them for, which application. If I have just a Picatinny section of rail on the top, and I just want something really simple, I'm going to use this one. Whereas if I'm running a quad rail, this one fits really nicely in between those sections of Picatinny rail. So you need to decide what you want to use your tape switch for. Now the buttons on this laser unit are perfectly usable. In fact, the reason why I was so happy with defense distributors carrying this set is because I wanted laser units to function like this. I personally really liked running just simplistic setups with them, and it's one of the reasons why I ran an X300 on top of my rails, just because I liked being able to reach over in a C-clamp and toggle these buttons with my thumb. I thought that was, for me, a really great way of activation and a great system to of the way they did the buttons. So the way that this is set up for me works really well. If you are someone who does not like that and wants an actual tape switch or wants to mount that in a different position while your laser is still in the 12 o'clock position, then maybe a tape switch is the route for you. For me, I don't find myself using the tape switches very often. That's just me though. If you do want to use a tape switch with the GL4 Pro, there are options, and if you want the links to those options, those will all be in the description of this video. That's all I have to say on the subject. We are going to be at Defense Distributors working on our own tape switch solutions, because obviously, as you can see, all that we have for them is tape switches. There's no kind of mod button-like solution, and they don't use very accessible plugs, and there is some difficulty with bringing that kind of stuff to market. One, because making converters or changing this plug is very, very difficult, and things like Crane plugs, if you're getting them authentically sourced, are extremely expensive. That is the most expensive part of this whole thing. These buttons, they're cheap. The cables, they're cheap. The connector is where the price jump happens, and that's just what happens in the laser market. A little bit of insight for you guys who aren't in that market, and that makes development of custom buttons a little bit tricky. We are working on that though. Whether that is an actual button we will release, whether we will release that in tandem with another more popular company who makes this kind of stuff, whether we will release an adapter to Crane plugs, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with the release of that solution, but I do want you to know that we are working on it, and it will exclusively come to the Defense Distributors version of this laser. That's all I've got. Check the description and the links in there if you want to pick up a tape switch for your unit.